Welcome back to our series on genetics, to our fourth video on codominance and incomplete dominance. Now, what makes this different from what we have done before is before we had brown and blonde. Brown was dominant over blonde. If brown appears, blonde does not. And the only way for blonde to appear is if brown doesn't appear. But using codominance and incomplete dominance, there are some traits in which there are two or more dominant alleles. There are two or more wow, I cannot spell. This is why I'm not Miss Carey teaching language arts, because I cannot spell. Two or more dominant alleles. So before you had capital B and lowercase b, those are your two alleles. Now we have two or more dominant alleles, which means we will have more than two alleles. For example, red and white color in roses. Both appear because both are dominant. So if they both are in the individual, if you get one dominant allele from mom and a different but also dominant allele from dad, both will appear because both are dominant. So let's do a Punnett square and see what that looks like. So here we have a red heterozygous flower and a white heterozygous flower. Our alleles are capital R, which is red rose. Capital W, which is white rose. And a lowercase b, which is blue. Like I said, both the red and the white are capital. Therefore, they are both dominant. Blue is not. Blue is lowercase. So, as we fill this out, the R comes down, the B comes down, the W goes across, and this B goes across, which gives us these offspring, these children. RW, WB, RB, and BB. Now we need to do the genotype ratios and the phenotype ratios. Your genotype ratios. We have 25% RW, 25% RB, 25% WB, and 25% BB. So as you can see, since each square is different, each is a different ratio. Each one of them is one square, 1/4, so each of them is 1/4, 25%. As tends to happen with two heterozygous parents and their offspring. Next, we have the phenotypic ratios. We have 25% RB, which will get us red is dominant over blue, gets us 25% red. Next, we have BB, which is 25% blue, because you have two recessive. It's the only way that blue can show up. 25% WB, which is dominant over blue, which gives you the white flower. Here, I will draw a line between the genotypes and the phenotypes so you can tell what is what. That leaves us with RW. Both are dominant. They are the codominant alleles. And when both appear, both are expressed. So if you have a red and a white, and those are your two alleles, you get 25% of red and white mixed, which gives you a pink flower. Now, incomplete dominance is like this, but it appears slightly different. The phenotype is slightly different. Instead of it being mixed, it would be splotchy. For example, calico cats. You have cats with orange and yellow and brown and black spots all over their body. That would be incomplete dominance because it appears separately across their body. If it actually mixes, like a pink flower, that would be codominance. Most of the stuff we will deal with in this class will be codominance. But every once in a while, we might talk about an incomplete dominance, for example, cows or cats. But there is no difference in how you do the Punnett square for these at this level. So I'm going to teach codominance and incomplete dominance together, because you would do the Punnett square the same way, and you would have still the multiple dominant alleles. So that is how codominance works in Punnett square and genetics. Hopefully that helps clear it up. And next, we will be looking at what happens if you have something that affects the gender, that matters on the gender or the sex of the person. Does it matter if the male or female has it? Here, we haven't even been labeling male or female because it doesn't matter. If this is the dad and this is the mom, it works the same as this. If this is the dad and this is the mom, you would get the same kids. However, there are some traits called sex-linked traits that it does matter whether the mom or the dad is the one. It matters which letters goes with which parent. And that will be our next video in the series. Video number 5.